Hey guys, my name is Matsumiao, and today I want to talk about some potential new operators that might be making their way into Rainbow Six Siege. Recently, there was another leak, which seems to be a theme with this game lately, where Reddit user rtex3 was able to data mine some information about these new gadgets. Now, we do need to take this with a grain of salt. Nothing's been confirmed, we haven't even gotten Alibi and Maestro with his upcoming DLC yet, so this is probably early in development, but it's led to some really interesting details. The first thing is that it appears that there is going to be a blowtorch gadget introduced. Now, a lot of people are speculating that this is going to be a new operator that's going to be able to get through reinforced walls. The reason why people are thinking this is that in a recent interview, a Ubisoft developer stated that they are experimenting with another hard breacher. We have Hibana, we have Thermite, but they want to introduce someone that is slightly different. And so if I had to take a guess as to how this new operator would perform, I would imagine that they'd be able to use this blowtorch to create any hole size that they want. You would literally be able to outline with your operator, you'd put your blowtorch to the wall, and then make the hole that you desire. You want a small one just to kind of peer in through to the objective? That would be a possibility. You want to create something much larger for you and your team to rush on in, kind of like a thermite hole? That would also be something that you'd be able to do. If I also had to guess, this would be a way for you to bypass Mute's jammers and Bandit's batteries. You're not placing something on the wall to get jammed or to get shocked off. You're literally taking a blowtorch. Now, you might be thinking, well, wait a second, that sounds completely overpowered. Wouldn't this just make Thermite and Hibana obsolete? You wouldn't even need to bring a Thatcher in that situation if that was the case. Well, I'd also imagine that it would take a long time for you to get through these walls. You're not going to be able to just simply place your gadget on the wall like Thermite and then click a button and all of a sudden the wall disappears in front of you a half a second later. You're probably going to have to go through an extensive long animation to make these holes. The larger the hole, the longer it's going to take you to make that hole. This is going to give defense a lot of opportunity to react. Not only are they going to know where you're coming from, but they could also stop you during that process even before you can open it on up. There are moments when I'm playing as Thermite where I'm terrified going through that short little animation to place my gadget on the wall because I know that at any given moment someone could round the corner and take me out. Now imagine going through a much longer process with this blowtorch where the enemy clearly knows where you are. Yes, you may not be countered by a mute jammer or a bandit battery, but it's going to leave you very exposed. And so all in all, I'm really intrigued to see if this is the direction that they're taking with this third new breacher. There also might be some limiting factor. Maybe there's a fuel source, so even though it might take you a long time to open up those holes, you're not able to open up every single reinforced wall in the game because you just run out of fuel. That might be one way they limit it so it doesn't become overpowered as well. But I'm really intrigued. And so let me know what you guys think about a blowtorch operator. It would definitely mix things up. No longer would you really need to have a Twitch or a Thatcher on your team, or at least it wouldn't be required to get through walls if this was the way that it worked. Do you think that that is pushing things too far and it would make Thermite and Hibana not as useful anymore? Let me know what you guys think down below. Another really cool operator that might be making their way into Siege is one that has the ability to block holes. In this data mine information, there is a line that states a hole blocker projectile system. Now, of course, it doesn't go into the exact details of how it's going to work, but this is something that we've talked about in a previous Sunday mailbox. Having an operator that can throw some sort of gadget near a wall that was opened up, and then it can have expanding foam or some way that would block that access route. This could add in a really cool dynamic into Rainbow Six Siege. This game has always revolved around destruction, and as soon as something is opened on up, you just kind of have to accept that that's the way that the match is progressing. That's one of the great things about the dynamic of this game. You always have to adapt to the situation. Well, if this new operator was introduced, maybe you don't have to anymore. If that wall was really critical for you to block line of sight, maybe on a Mira, for example, or you just need to be able to hide behind it so that they can't see you from the objective, then just have this operator toss this hole blocker system and close it on up. Now imagine they could just simply shoot on through it or use a normal charge to break it down once again. It's not going to be a reinforced wall. It's not going to be that crazy, but at least that is going to give defense a little bit of breathing room. Especially if Ashe or Hibana opened up a wall from long range, it may not even be feasible for offense to push on up and try to place a breaching charge on that wall because that would leave them incredibly exposed. That may not be viable, and so this would be a direct counter to those long range breachers, which is something that we don't have in Rainbow Six Siege whatsoever. And so all in all, I'm really hopeful that this is actually something that is going to eventually be added into Siege, because I think it opens up a lot of possibilities. I'm assuming it will be quite challenging for them to implement something like this properly. How is this gadget going to know where to reinforce and what not to reinforce? Like, that doesn't sound like an easy task to program, but if they're able to do it and it's not a clunky mess, I think this could be a really cool addition into Siege. Another potential gadget that was found in the data mining is one called an audio alarm. Now, this would be useful for both offense and defense. Being able to place something on the map to watch your back, where if anyone passes on through, it makes a really loud noise for everyone to know that someone's coming from that angle, is valuable for both offense and defense. If I had to take a guess though, this gadget is going to be exclusive for the offensive team, mainly because we already have a lot of operators on defense that serve this same functionality. Legion is a prime example. Yes, Legion does a little bit of damage. He slows down their progress. They can't sprint when he has his little trap in them, but really it's just to kind of know where people are coming from. It's an early warning sign. Ella also sort of fits into that category. And so while it's distinctly possible that they introduce another defensive operator that acts as an early warning, my bet is that this is going to be an offensive gadget. This has been something that I've been wanting to have introduced for a very long time now. I love claymores, they're a great way at stopping flanks occasionally, but it would be nice to have a more stealthy version that just makes a really loud sound letting me know when someone is trying to get the flank off. Cav, especially on really large maps, can be a nightmare. There's just only so many angles you can cover on offense, especially when you're playing with a bunch of randoms who refuse to use their microphone. If you had some tool that you could place down to act as that early warning, I think that'd be an amazing addition into the game. Now, I wouldn't think that this would be something that would be exclusive to a brand new operator. Maybe it could be like the new cameras that they just introduced for the defensive team, where everyone or a couple of operators on offense have the selection between, do you want flashes or do you want this new alarm system? You have to make the choice between that now. If it was just exclusive to a singular operator, I feel like that's not a good enough gadget to warrant having on your team. There's a lot of amazing gadgets in this game. To have something that just acts as an alarm, is that going to be good enough to warrant to have that compared to all of the other amazing operators in the game? It's kind of hard to say. The final thing that I think is worth mentioning is that Artex also discovered that it appears that they're going to be introducing more paid alpha packs. You guys know, if you were around for Operation Outbreak, there was that short period of time where there were exclusive alpha packs that you had to buy with real world money. Apparently it's going to be some sort of summer event like that was for a winter event. I know I shouldn't be surprised, but I was really hoping that they weren't going to continue with the paid alpha packs. I assumed it was going to be kind of a one-off thing. I don't know why I assumed that, because why would it be? But I was hopeful that they weren't going to continue on with this trend. I love the fact that Siege has been able to maintain its free policy of free maps and free operators as long as you grind them on out. And I also understand that they need to fund that development. They have to pay the developers to be able to create all that. But there's a lot of ways that they monetize this game, and I really just don't like the fact that they're now starting to push into the paid alpha packs more and more. Of course, we'll have to wait and see. Nothing has been confirmed, but that was a bit of a disappointment when I learned about that. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about these details. Are you excited about the prospect of having an operator that can block holes? How do you think that's gonna work? Let me know down below in the comments. But yeah, until tomorrow, have a good one and take it easy.